Welcome to Terence. I'm Aiden, your narrator, and I invite you to settle in and let the cares of the day melt away. In this story, we'll journey to a quiet forest where a fir tree and a curious little squirrel discover secrets buried deep beneath the soil, unraveling a tale of mystery, trust, and the healing power of friendship. But before we begin, we'd love to hear from you. Where are you listening from? And what time is it as you settle in to hear this story? We'd also love to know what kinds of stories you'd enjoy next. Your thoughts and suggestions inspire us, so please share them in the comments below. Oh, and I wanted to share an important update with you. Currently, only 5.5% of our viewers are subscribed to the channel, which means 94.5% of you haven't subscribed yet. If you've been enjoying our bedtime stories, subscribing is a simple and free way to support us. At the moment, we aim to remove all mid-roll ads from our videos to provide a seamless and uninterrupted viewing experience. Unfortunately, we are unable to do so because we have not yet reached the threshold required to gain control over ad placements. Reaching 1,000 subscribers will allow us to remove all mid-roll ads, ensuring a completely uninterrupted and relaxing experience for you. Your support means the world to us, and together we can make Terence an even more peaceful place for storytelling. If you'd like even more from Terence, you can check out our Patreon for early access to all our stories and a curated Spotify playlist to accompany your journey to relaxation. Now find a comfortable spot, take a deep breath, and let the soft whispers of the forest carry you into a world of wonder. Close your eyes if you wish, and allow your imagination to unfold as we begin The Fir Tree and the Squirrel. In the heart of a sprawling forest, where sunlight struggled to reach the soft, mossy ground, stood a solitary fir tree. Nestled in a small clearing surrounded by towering oaks and ancient pines, the fir tree felt small and unnoticed. Its needles, though vibrant and green, couldn't match the grand canopy of golden leaves that the oaks swayed proudly above. The fir tree often gazed at the older trees with quiet longing. Their sturdy trunks bore the marks of time, knots, hollows, and weathered bark, each a testament to the stories they must have witnessed. It wished for such stories of its own but had none to share. Most days it simply stood, rooted in its silence, listening to the rustling of leaves and the occasional chatter of squirrels as they raced past, too preoccupied to stop. When the sun dipped low and the forest transitioned to twilight, the fir tree's loneliness deepened. Fireflies danced in the gathering shadows, their soft lights flickering like tiny stars. The fir tree admired their beauty but couldn't call out to them. Its voice, faint as a sigh, was carried away by the night breeze before it could reach anyone who might hear. One particularly still evening, the fir tree mustered its courage and whispered into the wind, "Will anyone ever notice me?" The breeze responded with nothing more than a soft rustle through the surrounding oaks. Crestfallen, the fir tree lowered its boughs. It seemed destined to spend its days as a silent observer, a mere background to the bustling life of the forest. But life in the forest has a way of surprising even the most patient of its dwellers. The following morning, as the golden light of dawn crept into the clearing, the fir tree noticed something unusual. A small, furry creature was darting among the underbrush, its bushy tail flicking with purpose. It was a squirrel, bright-eyed and nimble, clutching an acorn in its tiny paws. The squirrel zigzagged through the clearing, occasionally pausing to inspect the soil. He seemed intent on finding the perfect spot for his acorn. When he reached the fir tree, he paused, tilting his head as though sizing it up. The fir tree froze, unsure of what to do. It had never had a visitor linger this close before. Would the squirrel stay, or would he scamper off like all the others? "Good morning," the squirrel chirped suddenly, his voice light and cheerful. "Nice needles you've got there. I don't see many fir trees around these parts." The fir tree was startled but managed to respond, its voice soft and trembling. "Good morning. You noticed me?" "Of course I noticed you," the squirrel replied with a laugh. "I've been all over this forest, and I've never seen a fir tree as fine as you." The fir tree's boughs quivered with a mixture of surprise and delight. "Thank you. I'm glad you stopped by. I don't often have visitors." The squirrel placed his acorn at the base of the fir tree and began to dig a small hole. "Well, I'm Pippin, and I'm in search of safe places to store my acorns. This spot looks just right." "You're welcome to stay as long as you'd like," the fir tree said eagerly, not wanting the newfound company to leave. As Pippin worked, his sharp eyes caught something unusual among the fir tree's roots. A faint glow emanated from the soil, pulsing gently like a hidden ember. He stopped digging and leaned closer. "What's this?" he murmured, brushing the dirt aside with his tiny paws. The fir tree hesitated, its needles trembling slightly. "I've noticed it before," it admitted. "It's always been there, glowing faintly beneath me. I don't know what it is." Pippin's curiosity was piqued. He pressed his ear close to the glowing soil and thought he heard the faintest of whispers, like the echo of a distant song. "How mysterious," he said, his tail twitching. "There might be more to you than meets the eye, my friend." The fir tree didn't know what to make of that, but for the first time, it felt a flicker of something it had never experienced before: hope. Perhaps this curious squirrel and the strange glow beneath its roots would bring answers to the questions it had always been too afraid to ask. Over the following days, Pippin made himself at home around the fir tree. His playful energy brought life to the once quiet clearing. He dashed up and down the fir tree's trunk, leaping between its boughs and chattering stories about his adventures in the forest. For the first time, the fir tree felt truly noticed, and it found joy in Pippin's companionship. But the mystery of the glowing soil lingered in both their minds. Late one evening, as the forest began to settle into its nightly lullaby, Pippin scampered down to the base of the tree and sat near the faintly glowing patch. He watched it intently, his ears twitching with every sound. "What do you think it is?" Pippin asked, his voice hushed. The fir tree sighed. "I don't know. It's been there as long as I can remember. Sometimes I feel it, beneath my roots, a warmth, a soft hum, but I've never understood what it is." Pippin tilted his head, intrigued. "You've never tried to find out?" "I'm just a tree," the fir replied gently. "I'm rooted here. Whatever it is, it's part of me now, but it's not something I can reach or explore." Pippin's eyes sparkled with determination. "Well, you've got me now. I'm not rooted. I can dig." The fir tree chuckled, its needles shimmering in the moonlight. "Be careful. I wouldn't want you to get hurt." Pippin nodded and began to dig carefully around the glowing patch, his small paws scooping out the soft soil. As he worked, the glow grew brighter, casting a golden light over the clearing. A faint, melodic hum emerged, almost like a whispering voice just out of reach. Pippin paused and pressed his ear close to the ground. "Do you hear that?" he asked in awe. The fir tree felt a shiver pass through its roots. "I don't hear words, but I feel something. Alive. It's as though it's trying to speak, but I can't understand." Pippin sat back, his tail flicking thoughtfully. "This isn't just ordinary soil. There's something ancient here, something powerful. We need to figure out what it's trying to tell us." The fir tree didn't reply immediately. Deep down, it felt a mix of fear and curiosity. Whatever was hidden beneath its roots had been dormant for years. Did it really want to know the truth? "I'll help you," Pippin said, sensing the tree's hesitation. "We'll uncover this mystery together." The fir tree felt a warm surge of gratitude. For the first time, It didn't feel alone in its questions. Over the next several nights, Pippin continued his careful excavation. The glowing patch expanded, revealing intricate patterns etched into the soil, tiny golden symbols that pulsed faintly with light. Each time he uncovered a new section, the hum grew louder and the whispers became clearer. One evening, as the moon hung high in the sky, Pippin paused his digging and turned to the fir tree. "I think these symbols are telling a story," he said excitedly. "A story?" the fir tree asked, its needles trembling with anticipation. "Yes. I can't read it, but I feel it." Pippin ran his paw over the glowing symbols. It's talking about something hidden, something buried here long ago. A treasure, maybe? The fir tree's branches quivered. "A treasure? Why would it be buried under me?" "I don't know," Pippin admitted. "But treasures are usually hidden for a reason. Maybe it's something meant to be protected." As the words left his mouth, the glow brightened, and the hum swelled into a soft melody. Pippin leapt back, startled, as a faint beam of light shot upward from the patch, illuminating the fir tree's trunk. The fir tree gasped as it felt a deep warmth spread through its roots, travelling up its trunk and into its branches. For a moment, it saw a vision, a radiant crystal, pulsing with golden light, nestled deep within its hollow core. The vision faded as quickly as it had come, leaving the fir tree stunned. "Did you see that?" Pippin asked, his voice barely a whisper. I felt it," the fir tree replied. "There's something inside me, Pippin. Something I didn't know was there." Pippin's eyes widened. "The treasure. It must be the treasure the whispers were talking about." The fir tree's joy was quickly replaced by worry. "But why would it be hidden in me? What if it's dangerous? What if it brings trouble to the forest?" Pippin placed a reassuring paw on the tree's trunk. "If it's hidden in you, then it was meant to be. We'll figure this out together, I promise." But as the glow dimmed and the hum faded into the night, both the fir tree and Pippin couldn't shake the feeling that the mystery they had uncovered was just the beginning, and that the answers they sought might not come without challenges. The glow beneath the fir tree's roots had faded, but its presence lingered in Pippin's thoughts. He became more watchful, often pausing to study the clearing as though sensing unseen eyes. The fir tree, though grateful for his company, felt an unease creeping into its thoughts. One afternoon, as heavy clouds gathered over the forest, the air grew thick and still. The animals fell silent, and even the breeze seemed to hold its breath. Pippin darted up to one of the fir tree's branches, his tail twitching nervously. "A storm's coming," he said. "A big one." The fir tree gazed at the darkening sky. "The storms here can be harsh. You should find shelter, Pippin. My branches aren't strong enough to protect you." "I'm not leaving you," Pippin said firmly. "We'll weather this together." As the storm broke, the clearing was consumed by chaos. Rain lashed down in sheets, and the wind howled through the forest, bending even the mightiest trees. The fir tree swayed violently, its roots gripping the earth with all their strength. Suddenly, a powerful gust tore through the clearing, snapping one of the fir tree's lower branches. It crashed to the ground, splitting open with a resonating crack. Pippin, who had taken shelter beneath the tree's boughs, scampered to inspect the fallen branch. His sharp eyes caught something unusual. Where the branch had broken, the wood gleamed faintly with a golden light. Pippin's heart raced as he climbed back up the tree's trunk and peered into the hollow where the branch had snapped away. Inside, nestled deep within the tree's core, was a crystal, glowing faintly like a slumbering ember. "Fir tree!" Pippin exclaimed, his voice nearly drowned out by the storm. "There's something inside you. It's glowing." The fir tree felt the warmth again, spreading from its core to its roots and branches. "I don't understand," it said, its voice trembling. "Why would something like this be hidden in me?" Before Pippin could reply, another fierce gust shook the tree. The ground at its base began to crack, exposing more of the glowing soil. Pippin scrambled to stabilize himself, his mind racing. "We have to figure this out," he said, "before someone else sees it." The storm began to subside, leaving the clearing battered but intact. As the rain eased into a gentle drizzle, the fir tree stood silently, its boughs heavy with water and its heart weighed down by uncertainty. The next morning, sunlight filtered through the forest, casting a golden glow over the clearing. Pippin climbed back to the hollow in the fir tree's trunk, his curiosity unshaken. The crystal inside was more vivid now, its light pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. "This crystal," Pippin murmured. "It feels alive. It's not just a treasure, it's something more." The fir tree listened in silence, unease growing within it. If it's something precious, what if someone comes looking for it? What if it brings danger to the forest? Pippin hesitated, then nodded. "We'll keep it safe. No one needs to know it's here." But the fir tree wasn't convinced. Doubts began to creep into its mind. Why was Pippin so determined to uncover the crystal's secrets? Was he truly helping? Or was he drawn by the allure of something powerful and rare? That evening, as Pippin busied himself collecting acorns around the clearing, the fir tree couldn't shake its growing distrust. It recalled the whispers in the glowing soil, warning of treasure hunters and greed. Was Pippin any different? When Pippin returned to the tree with his acorns, he noticed the fir tree's branches drooping, its needles unusually dull. "What's wrong?" he asked. The fir tree hesitated, its voice heavy with doubt. "Why are you helping me, Pippin? Is it for the crystal? Are you hoping to take it for yourself?" Pippin's eyes widened in shock. "What? No, I'm helping because you're my friend. I'd never take anything from you." "But the whispers spoke of treasure hunters," the fir tree said. "How can I be sure you're not one of them?" Pippin stepped back, hurt flashing in his eyes. "You think I'd betray you, after everything we've done together?" The fir tree remained silent, its doubts holding it captive. Without another word, Pippin turned and scampered into the forest, his tail flicking with frustration. As the clearing grew quiet once more, the fir tree felt an ache deeper than any storm could cause. It didn't want to lose Pippin, but its fear of the unknown and of being exploited had overshadowed its trust. Alone in the clearing, the fir tree whispered into the night, "Have I made a mistake?" Far away, Pippin sat on a low branch, staring at the distant glow of the clearing. Though his heart ached, he resolved to prove his loyalty. "I'll show you," he whispered. "I'll protect you, even if you don't believe in me right now." And with that, Pippin began to hatch a plan. One that would heal the rift between him and the fir tree and protect the crystal's secret forever. The days that followed were quiet and heavy with regret. The fir tree missed Pippin's lively presence but couldn't summon the courage to call him back. It spent its time reflecting on their conversations, questioning its own fears. The whispers beneath its roots, once distant and faint, now seemed sharper, as if urging it to make amends. Meanwhile, Pippin worked tirelessly. Though he stayed out of sight, he hadn't abandoned the clearing. He darted through the forest, gathering acorns and seeds from every corner. His plan was bold but simple: to surround the fir tree with a protective grove, a living barrier that would shield it from prying eyes and threats. One evening, as twilight bathed the forest in golden light, Pippin returned to the clearing. The fir tree spotted him immediately and felt its boughs quiver with relief. But it stayed silent, unsure how to mend the rift between them. Pippin didn't speak either. Instead, he began digging small holes around the tree's base, carefully planting acorns in a wide circle. The fir tree watched, confused but hopeful. "What are you doing?" it finally asked, its voice hesitant. Pippin paused, his paws dusty, and looked up. "I'm planting a grove," he said simply. "These trees will grow tall and strong, and they'll protect you. No one will ever disturb your crystal." The fir tree's needles trembled with emotion. "You're doing this for me?" Pippin nodded. "I made a promise to help you. I may not have roots like yours, but I can still stand by your side." For the first time in days, the fir tree felt a warmth that had nothing to do with the crystal. "I was wrong to doubt you," it said softly. "You're my truest friend, Pippin. Thank you for staying." As night fell, the glowing soil beneath the fir tree seemed to respond to their reconciliation. The hum grew stronger, and the light spread upward, climbing through the fir tree's trunk and into its branches. The fir tree felt a surge of energy, a connection to something greater than itself. "Pippin," it whispered, "the crystal, it's healing me." The squirrel stepped back, watching in awe as the fir tree's broken branch began to mend. The light seeped into the bark, knitting it together until no trace of the storm's damage remained. The fir tree's needles sparkled under the moonlight, as if touched by stardust. "This isn't just a treasure," Pippin murmured. "It's a gift, for you, for the forest." The fir tree nodded, feeling a newfound strength and purpose. "And it's meant to be shared." The days turned to weeks, and Pippin's grove began to grow. Tiny saplings sprouted from the ground, their tender leaves reaching eagerly toward the sky. The fir tree nurtured them with its light, the crystal within it pulsing gently, as though encouraging the young trees to thrive. Word of the glowing grove spread quietly through the forest. Birds came to rest on the fir tree's branches, singing sweet melodies that filled the clearing with music. Gentle creatures like deer and rabbits visited, drawn by the peaceful aura. Even the wind seemed to carry whispers of harmony through the grove, weaving a song of unity among the trees. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the first stars began to appear, Pippin climbed to the highest branch of the fir tree. From there, he could see the grove stretching outward, its saplings forming a protective ring around the clearing. "You've changed the forest," he said softly. "No," the fir tree replied, its voice warm and steady. "We've changed it together." Pippin looked down at the glowing soil, now calm and steady beneath the tree. "Do you think the crystal will keep glowing forever?" The fir tree thought for a moment. "I don't know, but I've learned that its light isn't meant to be hidden. It shines brightest when it's shared, and as long as we protect it, it will guide us." As night fell, the grove glowed faintly under the starlight, a quiet beacon of peace in the vast forest. The fir tree and Pippin, now inseparable, watched over their sanctuary with hearts full of gratitude. In time, the grove became a place of solace for all who entered. Travelers found rest beneath the fir tree's boughs, their burdens lightened by the calming hum of the crystal. The whispers faded, their purpose fulfilled, leaving only the soft melody of the forest. And as the years passed, the fir tree grew tall and strong, no longer lonely but surrounded by life and love. The light of the crystal remained, not as a treasure to be hoarded, but as a gift to be shared, a reminder that even the smallest among us can hold the power to bring warmth and unity to the world. In the quiet of the grove, under the soft glow of moonlight, the fir tree and the squirrel found their happily ever after. A story not of riches, but of friendship, trust, and the healing power of connection.